Hello, everyone. Tonight, we're going to be starting our actual seminar talk around 7:15. But until then, we have a wonderful slideshow put together of some of Luke Colwell's work, who's going to be our seminar speaker. So you can sit back and enjoy the slideshow until about 7:15. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to MTRI's third seminar of 2022. Each week in July and August, we will be hosting a talk on the biodiversity and conservation of Gaspowick, Southwest Nova Scotia. My name is Morgan Snare, and I'm a summer research assistant here at the Mersey Tobiatic Research Institute. But before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that MTRI is in, and we are meeting from Gaspowick, one of the 7 districts of Mi'kma'ki, homeland of the Mi'kmaq people. We acknowledge the treaties of peace and friendship, and we thank the Mi'kmaq people for their generosity in sharing their homeland with us. MTRI is a research-based nonprofit nestled in Southwest Nova Scotia near Keikli National Park and Historic Site, and within the Southwest Nova Scotia Biosphere Reserve. Our mission is to promote, conserve, and sustain biodiversity in Gaspowick and beyond. Tonight, I am very pleased to introduce nature photographer Luke Colwell. Luke is a 16-year-old photographer based in Nova Scotia who's captured some really amazing photographs, as you saw in our slideshow, which was just playing. This is just a fraction of his work. Next, I will hand the seminar over to Luke, but I would like to remind everyone to please keep your mics muted, and if you have any questions during the talk, please type them in the chat window or wait until the question period at the end. So with that, Luke, you can take it away.
Hello, everyone. Hope you guys are all doing well. Wait, just stop this. Wait, I can't press the play button on this. Oh, there we go. Okay, wildlife photography. How I got into photography. I guess I'll introduce myself first. So as she said at the start, I'm a 16-year-old wildlife photographer from Nova Scotia, Canada. And some things I like to do is playing sports like track and field, basketball and volleyball. And I also enjoy hanging out with my friends and obviously just being out in nature, taking photos. Then I'll go over how I got into photography. So I took my first few photos about 5 years ago in the summer of 2017, using my dad's Canon Rebel T5 that he used for work. At the time, my subjects were pretty simple, pretty much whatever I could find around my yard, such as blue jays, bees, or flowers. And these are some of the first pictures that I took. A few months later in September, my dad asked me if I'd like to take his camera to the beach to take photos. this trip ended up being a pretty big turning point for me because afterwards I started going out to a local park regularly, just snapping images of whatever caught my attention, such as hooded mergansers, mallards, or squirrels. At the time, I was using a pretty basic camera setup compared to what I own now. It was a Rebel T5 with an 18 to 55 millimeter kit lens and a 75 to 300 millimeter lens. And pretty much the only knowledge I had at the time of how to use a camera was the shutter button and how to view the image you just took. So it's safe to say I had lots of room for improvement. Over the next 3 years, whenever my family would go on hikes or trips, I'd take my camera with me. And during this period, I wasn't really into the technical aspects of photography as much as I am now. I think I just enjoyed taking images of pretty scenes and animals whenever I came across them and not so much evolving. In the fall of 2020, I started to really get into photography. During the fall, I was very into landscape photography and waterfalls. And at the end of October, I got my first lens over 300 millimeters, which was the Tamron 100 to 400. So I could start getting more wildlife photos, which is what I enjoyed most. Eventually, I got the Nikon 200 to 500, which is what I own now. And since fall 2020, I've been really passionate about photography and personally feel like I've improved quite a bit through watching YouTube videos, online discourse with other photographers, which is super important to improving your work, and obviously countless hours of practice in the field, taking pictures and observing the animals. So first, I'm going to go over 3 main types of lighting that will give you most often will give you the best results in your pictures. And 3 types of lighting. And here we go. So first is backlit. So backlighting is my personal favorite type because there's a huge creative ceiling or a huge creative potential for the images. You just use it by doing exactly what the title is shooting into the sun. So your subject, the back of your subject is lit up by the sun. And some advantages to shooting this is that you can get bokeh, which you can see in the image of the loon on the left, all those little circles. You can get rim lighting, such as in the top middle image, silhouettes, and light leaks, which is where you have like light coming down from the corner of an image, kind of like orange and yellow hues a lot too. So next is front lighting. So I don't use this a lot. I've started to get into it more a bit recently, but when I do, I try to only use it in the last hour to hour and a half of the day, or first hour and a half of the day. You can shoot front lit by having your back to the sun when taking photos of your subject. And this lighting usually gives a very warm feel and nice soft tones. I find this type of light looks best on shorebirds and ducks or any animals with orange or brown hues on their plumage, because the golden light will really bring those colors out and make them look nice. And lastly is overcast. So when there's clouds in front of the sun, this diffuses the light and causes everything to be evenly exposed. This is excellent for photographing passerines, which is basically just songbirds, and animals that live in plant-heavy habitats or forests where there's lots of potential for distractions like sticks, branches, and tree trunks that could be crossing into the frame, which will only be accentuated by the sun shining on them if it is sunny out. So when light is diffused, these distractions will blend together to make a cleaner image. And I've also found that cloudy weather causes colors to be most true and really, really pretty. So I probably like 90% of the time I photograph songbirds in cloudy weather because, you know, when the sun's out as well, you also get color cast coming off of the leaves, which makes everything look really green. And yeah. So always avoid harsh light. Colors usually look really bad in harsh light. You can see heat waves coming off the ground if you're photographing something like shorebirds or ducks. That's only in the warmer months though. You don't really notice it in winter and fall. And you usually have really distracting shadows and highlights as well that will take your focus away from the subject. My next tip is to always do your best to get eye level with your subject. Getting eye level is certainly one of, if not the most lucrative piece of advice I can give for wildlife photography. I think a huge element of it is showing the world from the bird's point of view and the habitat they live in. This helps the viewer make a better connection with the subject and the image as a whole. Getting eye level will make your backgrounds and foregrounds cleaner, which will once again greatly reduce distractions and help you just focus on the subject. You can see with the spotted sandpiper there on the top left, how getting low helps you see their environment better because you can see the rocks in the background, you can see the water rushing by and the plants there, and yeah. Here's a few non-eye level examples. I made sure to include the spotted sandpiper so you could see the difference it can make in your images. And then on the right, there's a common merganser. And my last tip is to pay attention to your backgrounds. So this is a little bit similar to the last one in terms of like in terms of distractions and such, but always make sure to pay super special attention to your background. The last thing you want is to get an image of a bird on a gorgeous perch or a perfect like smooth flat surface, and then the background is filled with distractions or random colorful dots or etc. Paying to your background can do so many things, such as add nice texture, colors to complement the subject. You can show off their habitat, like this one on the bottom left of the black-throated green warbler, or just get the subject with a perfectly smooth one to make them really stand out. A few of my favorite shooting locations. So to photograph like songbirds and stuff, something I do a lot is just look on Google Maps and search for like old dirt roads. I don't actually search it up, but I just look around until I find some, and then just go walk down them and see what I can find and listen for birds. Usually with Google Maps, you can get a slight idea of the kind of habitat you'll be working with if you pay attention to the colors of the trees and the shadows getting casted by the trees, if it's like tall forest or if it's just marsh. But yeah, I use that a lot. And then Cherry Hill Beach, it's out near like Broad Cove. This place is awesome. It's where I've gotten all my shorebird pictures this year, and I come here, I go there all the time. It's a beautiful beach, tons of habitat for birds like sparrows and shorebirds, eiders, herons, tons of stuff. In Green Bay, I go there in Green Bay Beach, which is about around Petite. I go there a lot in the winter because there's quite a few golden crown kinglets and tons of seabirds there. In the winter, the subjects are quite sparse, so that's a great place. In Grand Pre, that's another place I love to go in the winter. There's usually owls and stuff down there, and tons of like sparrows and snow buntings, not lapwings, but yeah. And oh yeah, and then in the summer, it's huge migration there. You can see thousands of semi-palmated sandpipers and stuff out near the water. That's really cool. Then up in Lower Branch, that's somewhere where I go a lot for old dirt roads. Not much to say about that. And then Upper LaHave River, it's around the same area, but I spend a lot of time with spotted sandpipers and beavers and stuff down there. So thank you for your time and for listening to my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have for me. Yeah.
That was great. Phenomenal photos, first off. Those are amazing.
Thanks so much.
So yeah, if we have any questions, you can feel free to turn your mic on or type them in the chat. But start off with, I'm going to steal a question here. Do you have a favorite subject to photograph? I know that might be like tough to narrow it down possibly.
Oh no, for sure. I love shorebirds. I don't know what it is about them, but I just love getting out in the sand. It's not the most glamorous type of photography, for sure. Get pretty wet and pretty sandy, but yeah, it's just lots of fun.
Perfect, thank you. Are there any other questions?
Hi, Charlene here. When you say winter to go to Grand Pre, could you narrow that down?
Just like December to March.
December through March?
Yeah.
And in the fall, is it in the fall? Someone told me the murmurations in the fall up there.
Yeah, for the shorebirds.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go there anywhere from like early August to end of September, and there'll be tons of shorebirds there.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
The peak is usually around late August. I'd highly recommend it. It's super cool to see. I went there last summer for the first time. It was amazing.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Oh, so we have one in the chat. It says, good cameras can be really expensive. Do you have a recommendation that is reasonably priced for beginners?
I'm not all into gear, but I do know a lot of people start out with the Canon Rebel series. Yeah, don't have too much to say about that. There's tons of reviews and stuff on YouTube if you want to search stuff like that up.
Thank you.
Why did you switch to the Nikon?
It was my dad's old work camera, and then I just bought the lens to go with it.
Oh, I see. Right.
Perfect. Any other questions? I also have one about time of day. Do you have I know you said when you get the harsh lighting, generally the first hour, last hour, but if there was no harsh lighting involved, what would be like your favorite time of lighting?
Backlight, for sure. For sure. You just be really creative with it. Lots of possibilities, different images you can get. So it's really fun to work with.
Awesome. Jill Francis wants to know what type of lenses?
Do I have?
I'm going to say yes. Jill can correct me if I'm wrong though there.
Yeah, so I have a Nikon 200 to 500. That's my main lens and the one I use for most of my wildlife photos. It's a long range lens. And then I have a Sigma, 70 to 200 millimeter lens. I use that for more wide angle stuff. I've done some warbler work with it. And sometimes I use it for landscapes. I have the Nikon D500. And then also I have a Tamron 11 to 16 millimeter lens, I think. That's for just landscape work or any wide angle stuff. And I also own I think it's a Sigma 105 millimeter macro lens. So yeah, stuff. I've built up quite the collection over the years.
It definitely sounds like it. Yeah, which is awesome. What would you say is the hardest subject you've photographed?
I've thought about this a lot. I'd probably say swallows. They're super difficult. I mean, they move like insanely fast in the air and it's really hard to grab focus. I know with some of the newer cameras, they have really good autofocus systems that can grab onto them easier, but it's still super hard to keep them in your frame.
Definitely, for sure. Janice Nichols says, incredible photos, Luke. I love every one of them with a little heart emoji. Great job, as I really enjoyed your presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Do you have any other questions or comments? It's not looking like we have any at the moment, unless Chad. Oh, perfect.
Sorry, Morgan. We're getting one over Facebook.
Okay.
So Ron asks, any hints for macro photography?
Honestly, I haven't been that much into it. I kind of just find like bugs and stuff or amphibians and just take pictures of them. Just get low with them, get to their eye level, look for some nice lighting in the background. And yeah.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna say we don't have any at the moment, but you can definitely check out Luke's Instagram, as well as I believe there was a Facebook linked in the comments here, and I believe it's also on our Facebook as well. So I just want to once again say phenomenal photos, Luke. They were breathtaking, to say the least. Definitely could have never pictured getting a photo that clear of something that generally moves so fast, especially the birds in flight that was in our first slideshow there.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you again, everyone, for joining us tonight. For anyone interested in joining us next Thursday for our next summer seminar, we'll be joined by Nick Hill from the Southwest Nova Biosphere Reserve. Nick will be discussing the exciting new projects that are happening in the reserve. And I would like to thank the Region of Queens for supporting our summer seminar series. As always, you can stay up to date with our seminars by following us on Facebook. And if you would like to watch tonight's seminar again, you can check out our Facebook Live video or visit our YouTube channel. We hope everyone stays well and we get to see you all again very, very soon.
Thank you all for listening.
Awesome. Thank you for coming and showing off your phenomenal work, Luke.
Yeah, no problem. See you guys.
See you.
See you, everyone.